Peace. If you want to start your practice with tarot, the first problem you encounter is which decks to choose. There is literal sea of the decks in the world, and to find a good deck might be a problem. If you are considering buying a deck, then this video might be of value to you. So, let us begin. Peace. Lucky is the person who feels calling of the tarot cards and finds the best deck fast, guided by their intuition. I'm not one of those. And since you are watching this video, neither are you. It ended with me forming a collection of tarot decks and gaining some experience in purchasing them. I decided that this is worth sharing with you. To be precise, today we are going to discuss tarot decks specifically. Surely it can help with buying oracles too, but that's not the main focus today. First, some theory. Tarot is a deck of 78 cards, 22 of Major Arcana, 56 cards of Minor Arcana. A lot of tarot decks are based on a Rider-Waite deck, most in fact, but they are not always the same as the Rider-Waite. Some have only few alterations, like changing the names or the colors, but some are more different, changing the meanings of the cards. You can also find decks with extra cards, the more reason to pay attention to what you are buying. What is true for one deck might not be true for another. Now, with most basic theoretic understanding, let us put down some basics to help you check if that awesome deck that took your attention so much is good for you to actually buy. We will skip the talk about intuition, as I already said. If you were guided by spiritual in any form, you would know what deck to buy and would not even seek any advice on the matter. First thing that catches the eye is the pictures on the deck itself. Modern decks are having a lot of competition, so the artists seek to make them as attractive as possible. So we will first take a look at the art of the tarot and the designer who created the art. It was always difficult to be an artist, but nowadays it became even more difficult thanks to AI. AI graphics cannot be considered art, but it would be short-sighted to disregard AI altogether. More and more new decks are made by AI, and because they are visually appealing, they sell well. That is definitely an upside for a tarot creator. Unfortunately, it leads to decks that have AI-specific mistakes. A lot of people get really angry when they purchase a deck to support the artist for their great work, to find out that the deck in their hands was AI created, and it wasn't even said at the description of the deck. What a shameful thing to do. This sadly happens a lot. The truth about secret AI decks is usually very fast revealed in the comments of the customers. It is said, and it is secret with little value. If person likes the deck, they will buy it, no matter if it is AI or not. There are also decks that are partially AI generated and their authors do not shy from showing their sketches and the outcome. There is at least some idea and there is some art in these decks. Personally, I find that acceptable. The best, of course, is if the author of the art is actually author of the art, who did the work and drew the cards. These people really deserve appreciation, because to really make art for entire deck takes a lot of time. From what I was told, over a year, at least. I have few AI decks in my collection. Those I have were made with idea, but of course they have AI errors. Anyway, some of them are quite valuable to me, because of the author that makes them. So let us take a look at the author one more time, this time to consider the purpose of the deck that was made, and by who. And when we speak about who and why created the deck, it also influences how the art is made. but also how deep symbolism and spirituality can we expect in the cards. In this matter, the most valuable decks are the ones created by experienced occultists. Along with them, I also include into this group card readers who have many years of experience. Both kinds of authors are promise of deep experience and intuition. They can imprint on the art of the tarot truly deep meanings. Really worth. Lesser value, but here actually the quality can be both high and low, are the artists who are unskilled in spiritual arts. They don't read tarot, nor do they have occult knowledge connected with it. Decks from these people vary greatly. Such author can still create excellent deck if they at least take any look on a Rider-Waite tarot to see what it is on the picture and what are symbols and cards supposed to represent. If at least this work is done, the art can be really good. If not, and the tarot is made rather as speedrun work, then it is of course reflected on the deck, and it shows in lack of quality. And then there is the worst, which are the cards that are practically useless for any serious spiritual work. They still can be artistic, but they are rather collectible cards than tarot deck. If you want a deck that is for any proper use, these cards are to be avoided. If they are to be a collectible in your collection, then I guess there is no problem, but is it worth it? No. Now, when we explore the art, it is time to take a look at the card itself. The print is rarely to be a problem. Tarot artists know that well, and I found only a single deck where quality of print was less than perfect. What is more important is paper itself. Some decks, usually in massive production, have paper that was specifically designed for cards. Such cards are really hard. Most decks, however, are from less quality paper. 300 grams paper is often used, and it is a good choice for many decks. Cheap copycat decks tend to be of the softest paper, though in my experience they are usable just fine if you handle the cards gently enough. Those cheapest decks are also usually have the small cards. Size does matter in this case. Oversized cards are cool to look at, but all amazement can evaporate once you try to shuffle them. Unskilled person can have real issues shuffling huge cards. Another thing to consider for the card size is how are you going to use them? If you are going to read one card alone, then huge cards are excellent choice. But that is rather limited use. Usually if person buys tarot, they want to read them and use spreads. Advanced spreads have 10 and even more cards, and all those cards must fit on your table when you read. The spreads require each card to be placed in specific position. So you are going to need space for that. Because of that, if you want deck for reading, smaller cards will serve you better. Also, smaller cards are more practical for traveling. So take a look at how big card is, cut a piece of paper of that size and hold it in your hands. Is that card size acceptable for your use? Only you can answer that. Still, it is a question worth asking. One more thing about the card I must mention. It is quite a fashion among tarot creators to make tarot decks with painted edges. They definitely add to the beauty of the deck. Can't deny that. However, let us get practical. The edge, once you start using the card, will start falling off. In better case, it will be just falling off. In worse case, it will be painting your fingers, making your hands dirty. And that is something I would never want to happen when reading for people. They watch your hands as you shuffle and spread the cards. And last thing you want in that moment is for your hands to be dirty. And if you want to use deck professionally, you might have no time to clean your hands between readings for your clients. I honestly do not find it nice to see after some using of the deck how it looks when parts of the edge paint are missing from the cards. So, while beautiful, I must say that I discourage buying decks with painted edges. In my opinion, if you want to use cards for yourself only, it is acceptable. But if you want to be a professional and read for others, especially if you want to read for them in person, avoid them. So we took a good look at the deck itself. Now let us take a look at the book that usually comes with the deck, the guidebook. If your deck has a guidebook, take a look at it. In my experience, the deck that was being made with love and serious intent has a guidebook that offers way more than just keywords for the cards. The book that usually explains the cards are worth reading, as they allow you to peek into the mind of the author of the cards, explaining their understanding of the symbolism of each card. Such book has a value and adds to the value of the deck. Among other things, it can also reveal how the author actually understands tarot, depth of their knowledge, as well as their personal opinion. That can be great for you to deepen and expand your own understanding of the cards. And when we have the cards and the book, we can take a look at the challenge that comes with the two, the box they are packed in. This is a complex problem with no simple solution. If you want a small box, you inevitably must make a small book. If you insist on a big book, you need a big box with a lot of empty space, unless you also have a huge cards. There are multiple solutions to this problem that are used by publishers. First is the book of similar size as the cards, packed with them in a sturdy box. I appreciate the box in this solution. The cards are well protected within the box. The box tend to be of decent size for travel. Not the smallest, but in a reasonable size. Second solution in use is that the book is bigger than the cards, and box is adapted to the book with a pocket for the cards, often with a ribbon for their easier removing. This solution allows for a bigger book, but it gives a lot of free space that remains unused. Usually box is strong, well, usually, not always. But box also takes space, which is disadvantage for traveling, so you might need to use some other box for the travels. In my opinion, this is pleasing, but the least effective solution, especially if the box is much bigger than cards. Now for the solution I think is the best. Separation. When cards are in their own box and the book is packed separately, the one does not cause problems for the other. Also, some decks do not have physical book at all, but have electronic book available for downloading. If the book is not limited by the tarot box, it allows for bigger book. This solution is unfortunately rare. Of course, there are also decks that are sold alone without any book. Even such deck exists. Now we get to another important factor. Not necessarily physical, but quite important. How much money for the deck? Decks come in various prices. Free, cheap, acceptable, costly, and some decks cost way too much. Price does matter, not only in matter of affordability. There is a psychological effect that is wise to consider, especially if you consider buying deck that cost more than usual. I don't need to be an expert on psychology to notice that price of a deck does matter. It has an effect on the person who buys the deck. I must insist that there are decks that in fact cost too much. If you buy such a highly valued deck, you might find out that you might have a problem. You will be afraid of using the deck. You won't even dare to because you might damage it. That is not a joke, but a real problem when you look at the deck and think that the value of it is too high for you to use it. How can you simply use the deck when you have in mind how much money it did cost you to get? Such psychological block can be hard to overcome, and the deck might just rest on your shelf catching dust and grow in value if unpacked. That is quite a reason to avoid decks that are costly collectibles, especially if you want to actually use them. Overpriced decks tend to be bought as an investment to gain value over time, and be sold later for more money. Practically, such a deck is not a tarot deck but a gold brick. No matter how beautiful the art on the cards, no, it's better not to seek them. High quality deserves proper price, that I respect. To draw a deck takes a long time, and that deserves proper reward, as well as the well-chosen material of the cards and the print. Tarot is deck, that is an art on itself. It deserves proper value, but even that has limits. So keep that in mind before you buy that deck. Last but not least, it is rare to be a first person to buy a deck. Customer reviews are a very important source of information. Before you buy a deck, always take a look at the experience of others who have already bought and experienced it. What did they notice? Did they find some problem with the deck? For example, is it made by AI while seller doesn't mention it at all? Is the quality as described? How does seller react to complaints from the customers? Keep in mind that reviews on public places are more objective than on the website belonging to the seller. They always delete undesired feedback that appears on their own playground. Keep that in mind. Okay. Now we discussed all important points to watch for when searching for the deck, and consider it if it's worth your money. You've noticed that I didn't present any decks in the video. Well, it was my plan originally, but I decided against it. It is better to keep this video neutral, and also, perfect tarot deck doesn't exist. Seek the deck that will be the best for you. After all, you are the one who is going to be using it. A tool is like an extension of you, and it works the same with tarot deck. This process takes time, and good start can help you a lot. Hopefully, information that you just got will help you to get that good start. Just make sure that your first step, buying the deck, won't be your last. That will you do with the cards. Thank you for your time. Go in peace and guard your heart well.